Talk 3 from the book Knowing and Seeing by the Venerable Pa-Auk. It's entitled How You Develop the Sublime Abidings in Protective Meditations. Introduction. Today, let us look at how you develop the 4 sublime abidings and 4 protective meditations. The 4 sublime abidings are loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, equanimity. Again, that's loving kindness, metta, compassion, karuna, sympathetic joy, mudita, and equanimity, upekkha. The 4 protective meditations are loving kindness, Buddha recollection, foulness meditation, and death recollection. How you develop loving kindness. Introduction. To develop the sublime abiding of loving kindness metta, you need first of all to be aware that it should not be developed towards a person of the opposite sex or a dead person. A person of the opposite sex should not be used as object because lust towards him or her will probably arise. After you have attained jhana, however, it is possible to develop loving kindness towards the opposite sex as a group with, for example, may all women be happy. A dead person should at no time be used because you cannot attain loving kindness jhana with a dead person as object. The people you should develop loving kindness towards are, number 1, yourself, number 2, a dear person, someone you like and respect, an indifferent person, someone you are indifferent towards, and number 4, a hated person. In the very beginning, though, you should develop loving kindness towards only the first 2, yourself and the person you like and respect. This means that in the very beginning, you should not develop loving kindness towards the following type of person: a person you do not like, a person very dear to you, a person you are indifferent to, and a person you hate. A person you do not like is one who does not do what is beneficial to you or for those you care for. A person you hate is one who does what is detrimental to you or for those you care for. They are in the beginning both difficult to develop loving kindness towards because anger may arise. It is in the beginning also difficult to develop loving kindness towards a person to whom you are indifferent. In the case of a person who is very dear to you, you may be too attached to that person and be fitted with concern and grief, and be filled with concern and grief, and even cry if you hear something has happened to him or her. So these 4 should not be used in the very beginning. Later, though, once you have attained loving kindness jhana, you will be able to develop loving kindness towards them. You cannot attain jhana using yourself as object, even if you were to develop that meditation for 100 years. So why begin by develop loving kindness to yourself? It is not to attain even access concentration, but because when you have developed loving kindness towards yourself with the thought, may I be happy, then you are able to identify yourself with others. To see that just as you want to be happy, do not want to suffer, want to live long, and do not want to die, so too do all other beings want to be happy, do not want to suffer, want to live long, and do not want to die. Thus you're able to develop a mind that desires the happiness and prosperity of other beings. In the words of the Buddha, the translation here is, having searched in all directions with the mind, one cannot find anyone anywhere whom one loves more than oneself. In this same way do all beings in all directions love themselves more than anyone else. Therefore, one who desires his own welfare should not harm others. So in order to identify yourself in this way with others and make your mind soft and kind, you should first develop loving kindness towards yourself with the following 4 thoughts. Number 1, may I be free from danger. Number 2, may I be free from mental pain. Number 2, may I be free from physical pain. And number 4, may I be well and happy. If one's mind is soft, kind, understanding, and has empathy for others, one should have no difficulty developing loving kindness towards another. So it is important that the loving kindness you have developed towards yourself be strong and powerful. Once your mind has become soft, kind, understanding, and has empathy for other beings, then can you begin to develop loving kindness towards them. How you develop loving kindness person by person. If you have attained the 4th Anapana or white Kasina jhana, you should reestablish it so the light is bright, brilliant, and radiant. With the light of particularly the 4th white Kasina jhana, it is really very easy to develop loving kindness meditation. The reason is that with the concentration of the fourth jhana, the mind is purified of greed, hatred, delusion, and other defilements. After having emerged from particularly the fourth white kasina jhana, the mind is pliant, workable, pure, bright, brilliant, and radiant. And because of this, you will in a very short time be able to develop powerful and perfect loving kindness. So, with the strong and bright light, you should direct your mind towards a dear person of your own sex whom you like and respect, maybe your teacher or fellow yogi. You will find that the light spreads out around you in all directions and that whomever you pick as object becomes visible. You then take an image of that person, sitting or standing, and select the one you like most and which makes you the happiest. Try to recall the time when he or she was the happiest you ever saw. And choose that image. Make it appear about 2 yards in front of you so you can see the whole body. When you can see the image clearly before you, develop loving kindness towards him or her with the 4 thoughts. May this good person be free from danger. May this good person be free from mental pain. May this good person be free from physical pain. May this good person be well and happy. Extending loving kindness towards that person with these 4 phrases 3 or 4 times, and then select the one you like most. For example, may this person be free from danger. Then, with a new image of that person, in this case free from danger, extend loving kindness using the corresponding thought. In this case, may this good person be free from danger. May this good person be free from danger. Do it again and again until the mind is tranquil and steadily fixed on the object, and you can discern the jhana factors. Then, keep practicing until you reach the second and third jhanas. After that, take each of the other 3 phrases and develop loving kindness up to the third jhana. You should have an appropriate image for each of the 4 phrases. That is, when thinking, may this good person be free from danger, you should have a particular image of that person as free from danger. When thinking, may this good person be free from mental pain, you should have another image, one of that person as free from mental pain, and so on. In this way, you should develop the 3 jhanas and remember in each case to practice the 5 masteries. When you have succeeded with one person you like and respect, do it again with another person of your own sex whom you like and respect. Try doing this with about 10 people of that type until you can reach the 3rd jhana using any of them. By this stage, you can safely go on to people still of your own sex who are very dear to you. Take about 10 people of that type and develop loving kindness towards them one by one in the same way until the 3rd jhana. Then you can also take about 10 people of your own sex whom you are indifferent to, and in the same way develop loving kindness towards them until the 3rd jhana. You will by now have mastered the loving kindness jhana to such an extent that you can in the same way develop it towards about 10 people of your own sex whom you hate. If you're a type of great being like the Bodhisattva when he was Mahakapi, the Monkey King, who never hated anyone who harmed him, and you really neither hate nor despise anyone, then do not look for someone to use here. Only those who have people they hate or despise can develop loving kindness towards that type. Practicing loving kindness in this way, that is, by developing concentration up to the 3rd jhana on each type of people, progressively from one to the next, from the easiest to the most difficult, you make your mind increasingly soft, kind, and pliant until you're finally able to attain jhana on any of the 4 types, those you respect, those very dear to you, those you're indifferent to, and those you hate. As you continue to thus develop loving kindness, you will find that your loving kindness towards those you like and respect, and those very dear to you, becomes even, and you can take them as one, as just people you like. Then you'll be left with only these 4 types of person. Number 1, yourself. 2, people you like. 3, people you're indifferent to. And 4, people you hate. You will need to continue developing loving kindness towards these 4 until it becomes balanced and without distinction. Even though you cannot attain loving kindness jhana with yourself as object, you still need to include yourself in order to balance the 4 types. To do this, you need to reestablish the 4th anapana or white kasina jhana with the strong and bright light. Extend loving kindness to yourself for about a minute or even a few seconds, then towards someone you like, then to someone you are indifferent to, and then someone you hate, each one up to the 3rd jhana. then again yourself briefly, but the other three types must now each be a different person. Remember to develop them with each of the four phrases. May this good person be free from danger, etc., each up to the third jhana. Thus you should every time change the person of each of the three types. A person you like, one you're indifferent to, and one you hate. Do this again and again with different groups of four many times, so that your mind is continuously developing loving kindness without interruption and without distinctions. When you are able to develop loving kindness jhana towards any of the three persons without distinction, you will have achieved what is called breaking down the barriers. With the barriers between types of individuals broken down, you will be able to further develop your loving kindness meditation by taking up the method taught by the Venerable Sariputta, recorded in the Patisambhidamagga. The 22 categories. The method in the Patisambhidamagga involves 22 categories by which to extend one's loving kindness. 5 unspecified categories, 7 specified categories, and 10 directional categories. The 5 unspecified categories are: number 1, all beings; number 2, all breathers; number 3, all creatures; number 4, all people; and number 5, all possessing individuality. The 7 specified categories are all women; number 2, all men; number 3, all noble ones; number 4, all who are not noble ones; number 5, all devas; number 6, all human beings; and number 7, all in the lower realms. The 10 directional categories are: in the eastward direction; number 2, in the westward direction; number 3, in the northward direction; number 4, in the southward direction; number 5, in the eastward intermediate direction; number 6, in the westward intermediate direction; number 7, in the northward intermediate direction; number 8, in the southward intermediate direction; number 9, in the downward direction; and number 10, in the upward direction. How you develop the unspecified/specified categories. To develop this method of loving kindness meditation, you should, as before, reestablish the 4th jhana with the white kasina and develop loving kindness toward yourself, a person you respect or who is dear to you, one you're indifferent to, and one you hate, until there are no barriers between them and you. Then use the bright and brilliant light to see all the beings in as big an area as possible around you, around the building or monastery. Once they are clear, you can develop loving kindness towards them according to the 5 unspecified categories and the 7 specified categories, 12 in total. You should at each category pervade loving kindness in 4 ways. May they be free from danger, may they be free from mental pain, may they be free from physical pain, and may they be well and happy. They, quote, they, is in each case one of your 12 categories. That is, all beings, all devas, etc. Thus you will be pervading loving kindness in a total of 48 different ways. That's 5 plus 7, then times 4 equals 48. The beings in each category should be clearly visible in the light of concentration and understanding. For example, when you extend loving kindness to all women, you should actually see in the light the women within the determined area. You should actually see the men, devas, beings in lower realms, etc. in the determined area. You must develop each category up to the 3rd jhana before moving on to the next. You should practice in this way until you become proficient in pervading loving kindness in all 48 ways. Once proficient, you should expand the determined area to include the whole monastery, the whole village, the whole township, the whole state, the whole country, the whole world, the whole solar system, the whole galaxy, and the whole of the infinite universe. Develop each of the expanded areas in the 48 ways up to the 3rd jhana. Once proficient, you may proceed to the 10 directional categories. How you develop the 10 directional categories. The 10 directional categories of loving kindness involve the previously discussed 48 categories in each of the 10 directions. You should see all beings in the whole of the infinite universe to the east of you and extend loving kindness to them in the 48 ways. Then do the same thing to the west of you, and so on in the other directions. This gives a total of 480 ways to extend loving kindness, 10 times 48. equals 480. When we add the original 48 categories of pervasion, we get 528 ways to extend loving kindness. It's 480 plus 48 equals 528. Once you master these 528 ways of pervading loving kindness, you will experience the 11 benefits of practicing loving kindness, which the Buddha taught in the Anguttara Nikaya. When the mind deliverance of loving kindness bhikkhus is cultivated, developed, much practice, made the vehicle, made the foundation, established, consolidated, and properly undertaken, 11 benefits can be expected. What are the 11? Number 1, one sleeps in comfort. Number 2, one wakes in comfort. And 3, one dreams no evil dreams. Number 4, one is dear to human beings. Number 5, one is dear to non-human beings. Number 6, devas guard one. Number 7, fire, poison, and weapons do not affect one. Number 8, one's mind is easily concentrated. Number 9, one's complexion becomes bright. Number 10, one dies unconfused. And number 11, if one penetrates no higher, one will be reborn in the Brahma world. How you develop compassion. Once you have developed loving kindness as just described, it should not be difficult to develop the sublime abiding of compassion, karuna. To develop compassion, you should first select a living person of your own sex who is suffering. You should arouse compassion for him or her by reflecting on his or her suffering. Then reestablish the fourth jhana with the white kasina so the light is bright and clear, and use the light to see that person, and then develop loving kindness up to the third jhana. Emerge from it and develop compassion towards that suffering person with the thought, may this good person be released from suffering. Do this many times again and again until you attain the first, second, and third jhanas and the 5 masteries of each. After that, you should develop compassion as you did loving kindness, that is, towards yourself, towards the person you like, one you're indifferent to, and one you hate. And with those 3 persons, you develop compassion up to the third jhana until the barriers have been broken down. To develop compassion towards beings who are not suffering in any apparent way, you should reflect on the fact that all unenlightened beings are liable to experience the results of evil they have done while wandering through the rounds of rebirth. All unenlightened beings are liable, therefore, to be reborn in the lower realms. Furthermore, every being is worthy of compassion because they are not free from the suffering of aging, sickness, and death. After reflecting thus, you should also here develop compassion as you did loving kindness towards yourself and the usual 3 types of person. And with those 3 persons, you develop compassion up to the third jhana until the barriers have been broken down. After that, you should develop compassion in the same 132 ways you developed loving kindness, namely 5 unspecified categories, 7 specified categories, and 120 directional categories. How you develop sympathetic joy. To develop the sublime abiding of sympathetic joy, mudita, you should select a living person of your own sex who is happy, the sight of whom makes you happy, and whom you are very fond of and friendly with. Then reestablish the fourth jhana with the white kasina so the light is bright and clear, and use the light to see that person, and then develop the third loving kindness jhana. Emerge from it and develop compassion jhana. Emerge from that and develop sympathetic joy towards the happy person with the thought, may this good person not be separated from the prosperity he has attained. Do this many times again and again until you attain the first, second, and third jhanas and the 5 masteries of each. Then develop sympathetic joy jhana towards yourself and the usual 3 types of person, and with those 3 persons you develop sympathetic joy up to the third jhana until the barriers have been broken down. Finally, develop sympathetic joy towards all beings in the infinite universe in the 132 ways. How you develop equanimity. To develop the sublime abiding of equanimity, upekkha, you should first reestablish the fourth jhana with the white kasina. Then choose a living person of your own sex towards whom you are indifferent, and develop loving kindness, compassion, and sympathetic joy, each up to the third jhana. Then emerge from the third jhana and reflect on the disadvantages of those 3 sublime abidings, namely their closeness to affection, to like and dislike, and to elation and joy. Afterwards, reflect on the fourth jhana based on equanimity as peaceful. Then develop equanimity towards a person you are indifferent to with the thought, this good person is the owner of his kama. Do this many times, again and again, until you attain the fourth jhana and the 5 masteries of it. With the support of the 3rd jhanas of loving kindness, compassion, and sympathetic joy, it should not take you long to develop the 4th jhana of equanimity. Afterwards, develop it towards the person you respect or who is dear to you, one who is very dear to you, and one you hate. Then again towards yourself, a person you respect or who is dear to you, one you are indifferent to, and one you hate, until you have broken down the barriers between you. Finally, develop equanimity towards all beings in the infinite universe in the previously aforementioned 132 ways. This completes the development of the 4 sublime abidings. How you develop the 4 protective meditations. The 4 meditation subjects of loving kindness, Buddha recollection, foulness meditation, and death recollection are called the 4 protections, or the 4 protective meditations. This is because they protect the yogi from various dangers. It is for this reason worthwhile to learn and develop them before proceeding to Vipassana meditation. We have already discussed how to develop loving kindness, so we need now only discuss how to develop the other 3 protective meditations. Let us begin with Buddha recollection. How you develop Buddha recollection. The Buddha recollection can be developed by looking at the 9 qualities of the Buddha using the formula he gives frequently in the suttas. The Blessed One is such. Number 1, Arahatam. Number 2, Sama Sambuddho. Number 3, Vijja Karanana Simpano. Number 4, Sugato. Number 5, Loka Vidu. Number 6, Anuttaro Pare Samdama Sarati. Number 7, Sata Deva Mananusanam. Number 8, Buddho. And number 9, Bhagavati. These can be explained as, number 1, this Blessed One, having destroyed all defilements, is a worthy one, Arhatam. Number 2, he has attained perfect enlightenment by himself, Sama Sambuddho. Number 3, he is perfect in knowledge and morality, Vijja Karanam Sampano. Number 4, he speaks only what is beneficial and true, Sugato. Number 5, he knows the worlds, Loka Vidu. Number 6, he is the unsurpassed tamer of men fit to be tamed, Anuttaro Parisandama Sarathi. Excuse my pronunciation. Number 7, he is the teacher of devas and human beings, Satadeva Manusanam. Number 8, he is an enlightened one, Buddho. Number 9, he is the most fortunate possessor of the results of previous meritorious actions, Bhagava. Let us discuss how to develop concentration with, for example, the first quality, Arahanam. According to the Visuddhimagga, the Pali word Araham has 5 definitions. Number 1, since he has removed totality without remainder, all defilements and habitual tendencies, and has thereby distanced himself from them, the Buddha is a worthy one, Arahatam. Number 2, since he has cut off all defilements with the sword of the Arhat path, the Buddha is a worthy one. Number 3, since he has broken and destroyed the spokes of the wheel of dependent origination, led by ignorance and craving, the Buddha is a worthy one. Number 4, since his virtue, concentration, and wisdom are unsurpassed, the Buddha is paid the highest reverence by Brahman, devas, and men, and is a worthy one. Number 5, since he does not, even when in seclusion and unseen, do any evil by body, speech, or mind, the Buddha is a worthy one. To develop this meditation, you should memorize these 5 definitions well enough to recite them. Then reestablish the 4th Anapana or White Kasina jhana so the light is bright and clear. Then use the light to visualize a Buddha image you remember, like, and respect. When it is clear, see it as the real Buddha and concentrate on it as such. If you were in a past life fortunate enough to meet the Buddha, his image may reappear. If so, you should concentrate on also the qualities of the Buddha, not just his image. If the image of the real Buddha does not appear, then first see the visualized image as the real Buddha, and then recollect his qualities. You can choose the definition of Arahatam you like most. Take the meaning as object and recollect it again and again as Arahanam. As your concentration develops and becomes stronger, the image of the Buddha will disappear, and you should simply remain concentrated on the chosen quality. Continue to concentrate on that quality until the jhana factors arise. Although you can, with this meditation subject, only attain access concentration, you can concentrate on the remaining qualities of the Buddha too. How you should develop foulness meditation. The second protective meditation is foulness meditation, Asubha Bhavana, on a corpse. To develop it, you should reestablish the fourth anapana or white kasina jhana so the light is bright and clear. Then use the light to visualize the foulest corpse of your own sex that you remember seeing. Use the light to see the corpse exactly as it was when you really saw it in the past. When it is clear, make it appear as repulsive as possible. Concentrate on it and note it as repulsive, repulsive. Concentrate on the object of the repulsiveness of the corpse until Ugaha Nimitta, taken up sign, becomes the Pativanga Nimitta counterpart sign. The taken up sign is the image of the corpse as you really saw it in the past and is a hideous, dreadful, and frightening sight. But the counterpart sign is like a man with big limbs lying down after having eaten his fill. Continue to concentrate on that nimitta until you reach the first jhana and then develop the 5 masteries. How you develop death recollection. The third protective meditation is death recollection. According to the Mahasatipatthana Sutta and the Visuddhimagga, death recollection too can be developed using a corpse you remember seeing. Therefore, you should reestablish the first jhana with the repulsiveness of a corpse, and with that external corpse as object reflect. This body of mine is also of a nature to die. Indeed, it will die just like this one. It cannot avoid becoming like this. By keeping the mind concentrated on and mindful of your own mortality, you will also find that the sense of urgency, samvega, develops. With that knowledge, you will probably see your own body as a repulsive corpse. Perceiving that the life faculty in that image has been cut off, you should concentrate on the absence of the life faculty with one of the following thoughts. Number 1, my death is certain. My life is uncertain. Number 2, I shall certainly die. Number 3, my life will end in death. Number 4, death, death. Choose one and note it in any language. Choose to concentrate on the image of the absence of the life faculty in your own corpse until the jhana factors arise, although you can, with this meditation subject, attain only access concentration. Summary. As mentioned earlier, the 4 meditation subjects of loving kindness, Buddha recollection, foulness, and death recollection are called the 4 protections or the 4 protective meditations because they protect the yogi from various dangers. In the Mehiya Sutta, the Kundaka Nikaya, it says, give the translation of the Pali, for the removal of lust, meditation on foulness should be developed. For the removal of ill will, loving kindness should be developed. Meditation of breathing should be developed for the cutting off of discursive thought. According to this sutta, foulness meditation is the best weapon for removing lust. If you take a corpse as object and see it as repulsive, it is called foulness of a lifeless body. To take the 32 parts of the body of a being and see them as repulsive, as taught in the Giramana Sutta of the Anguttara Nikaya, is called foulness of a living body. Both these forms of foulness meditation are weapons for removing lust. The best weapon for removing ill will is to develop loving kindness. And for removing discursive thought, anapanasati is the best weapon. Furthermore, when faith in meditation slackens and the mind is dull, the best weapon is to develop Buddha recollection. When the sense of urgency is lacking and you are bored with striving in meditation, the best weapon is death recollection. Today we discussed how to develop the 4 sublime abidings and the 4 protective meditations. In the next talk, we shall discuss how to develop Vipassana meditation, beginning with the 4 elements meditation and analysis of the various kinds of materiality. Benefits of samatha. Before ending, we should like to discuss briefly the relation between samatha and vipassana. In the Samadhi Sutta and the Khandavagga in the Samyutta Nikaya, the Buddha said, develop concentration bhikkhus, concentrated bhikkhus. A bhikkhu, according to reality, understands. And what, according to reality, does he understand? Number 1, materiality's appearance and disappearance. Number 2, feelings, appearance and disappearance. Number 3, perceptions, appearance and disappearance. Number 4, formations, appearance and disappearance. And number 5, consciousnesses, appearance and disappearance. Therefore, a bhikkhu who is concentrated knows the 5 aggregates and their causes and their arising and perishing. He sees clearly that because of the arising of their causes, the 5 aggregates arise, and because of the complete cessation of their causes, the 5 aggregates also completely cease. The samatha we discussed in the first 2 talks and today produces strong concentration. It is the light of this concentration, the light of wisdom, that lets you see ultimate materiality for vipassana. With that deep, strong, and powerful concentration, you can see clearly the impermanent suffering and non-self nature of materiality, and their causes. This clarity is a great benefit coming from samatha. Samatha, or concentration practice, also gives you a resting place. There is much to discern in vipassana, and tiredness may occur. In that case, you can stay in one of the jhanas for a long time. That rest and refresh your mind, and then you can go back to vipassana. Whenever tiredness occurs, you can again enter jhana to rest. It is good to remember the benefits of samatha when, in the following talks, we discuss vipassana. Questions and answers 3. Question 3.1. In Anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing, there are the Parikama nimitta, the Ugaha nimitta, and the Patibhaga nimitta. What is the Parakama nimitta? Is the Parakama nimitta always gray? What is the difference between the Parakama nimitta and the Ugaha nimitta? Answer 3.1. In Anapanasati, there are 3 types of nimitta, 3 types of concentration, samadhi, and 3 types of meditation, bhavana. The 3 types of nimitta are the Parikama nimitta, preparatory sign, the Ugaha nimitta, taken up sign, and the Patibhaga nimitta, the counterpart sign. The 3 types of concentration are preparatory concentration. It is sometimes called momentary concentration. Number 2, access concentration. And number 3, absorption concentration. It is also called jhana concentration. The 8 attainments. The 3 types of meditation are, number 1, preparatory meditation, number 2, access meditation, and number 3, absorption meditation. The object of preparatory concentration can be the Parikama nimitta, the Ugaha nimitta, and occasionally the Patibhaga nimitta. Preparatory meditation is the same as preparatory concentration. Real access concentration and real access meditation are very close to absorption concentration, jhana. This is why they are called access. But sometimes deep and strong concentration before absorption concentration with the Patibhaga nimitta as object is, as a metaphor, also called access concentration or access meditation. When preparatory concentration or momentary concentration is fully developed, it leads to access concentration. When access concentration is fully developed, it leads to absorption concentration, jhana. We already discussed the nimitta in previous talks. There are, as mentioned, 3 types of nimitta, the Parikama nimitta, the Ugaha nimitta, and the Patibhaga nimitta. Number 1, the Parikama nimitta, preparatory sign. The natural breath is a nimitta. the touching point is also a nimitta. Here the nimitta is the object of concentration. The commentary says the nostril nimitta and upper lip nimitta are the parikama nimitta for beginners. When the concentration is a little stronger, a smoky gray usually appears around the nostrils. This smoky gray is also the parikama nimitta. It may have another color too. The concentration and meditation at the parikama nimitta stage are preparatory. The ugaha nimitta take an up sign. When the preparatory concentration increases in strength and power, the smoky gray usually changes to white. White like cotton wool, but it may become another color owing to a change in perception. When the perception changes, the color and shape of the nimitta may also change. If the color and shape change very often, the concentration will gradually decrease. This is because whenever yogi's perception changes, his object thereby also changes, which means he has different objects. So the yogi should ignore the color and shape of the nimitta. He should concentrate on it only as an anapana nimitta. The concentration and meditation on the ugaha nimitta are also preparatory. Number 3, pativanga nimitta, counterpart sign. When the concentration has become even stronger and more powerful, the ugaha nimitta changes to the pativanga nimitta. Usually the pativanga nimitta is clear, bright, and radiant, like the morning star. In this case too, if the perception changes, the nimitta may also change. If, when the concentration is strong and powerful, the yogi wants the nimitta to be long, it will become long. If he wants it to be short, it will become short. If he wants it to be ruby red, it will become ruby red. The Visuddhimagga says one should not do so. If one does, then even though the concentration is deep, it will gradually decrease. This is because one has different perceptions and thereby different objects. So a yogi should not play with the nimitta. If he plays with it, he cannot attain jhana. The beginning stage of concentration and meditation on the pativanga nimitta are also preparatory. But close to jhana, they are access concentration and access meditation. When absorption arises, the nimitta is still the pativanga nimitta, but the concentration is now absorption concentration, and the meditation is absorption meditation. Question 3.2. What is the difference between access concentration and absorption concentration? Answer 3.2. When the pativanga nimitta appears, the concentration is powerful. But at this stage, which is the stage of access concentration, the jhana factors are not fully developed, and bhavangas, like life continuum consciousness, still occur. One falls into bhavanga, life continuum consciousness. The yogi will say that everything stopped, or may think it is nibbana and say, I knew nothing then. If one practices in this way, one can eventually stay in bhavanga for a long time. In any kind of practice, be it good or bad, one will achieve one's aim if one practices again and again. Practice makes perfect. In this case, too, if one practices it again and again in the same way, one may fall into bhavanga for a long time. Why does one say one knew nothing? Because the object of the bhavanga is the object of the near-death consciousness in the past life. That object may be kama, a kama sign, or a destination sign. But one cannot see this unless one has discerned dependent origination. It is only once one has discerned dependent origination that one sees that the bhavanga took one of those objects. If one thinks it is nibbana, this idea is a very big rock blocking the way to nibbana. If one does not remove this big rock, one cannot attain nibbana. Why does this idea occur? Many yogis think that a disciple cannot know mentality, materiality as taught by the Buddha. So they think it is not necessary to develop sufficiently deep concentration in order to discern mentality, materiality, and their causes as taught by the Buddha. Thus their concentration is only weak, and bhavangas still occur. Because the jhana factors are too weak, their concentration cannot be maintained for long. If one purposely practices to fall into bhavanga, one will achieve one's aim, but it is not nibbana. To attain nibbana, one must practice the 7 stages of purification step by step. Without knowing ultimate mentality, ultimate materiality, and their causes, one cannot attain nibbana. The problem of thinking that the attainment of knowing nothing is nibbana needs perhaps to be explained further. Nibbana is visankhara, that is, without formations. Formations, sankhara, are mentality, materiality, and their causes, and nibbana is without either of them. The mind that knows nibbana is called visankhara gata chitta, but it is not itself visankhara. The act of seeing nibbana requires the formation of consciousness. The consciousness that is formed when, for example, a Buddha or Arhat enters the fruition attainment and sees nibbana is the Arhat fruition consciousness, the Arhata phala chitta, together with its associated mental factors. If the Arhat fruition consciousness is entered upon from the first jhana and is thus a first jhana Arhat fruition consciousness, there are 37 mental formations. This principle applies in all the other path and fruition knowledges. Together with their associated mental factors, they all take nibbana as object, and nibbana has the characteristics of peaceful bliss. Whenever a noble one enters the fruition attainment, she or he knows nibbana, and with the fruition knowledge enjoys the peaceful bliss that is nibbana. It is therefore impossible to enter one of the fruition attainments and say about it, everything stopped, I knew nothing then. Before entering a fruition attainment, one determines how long it will last, for example, 1 or 2 hours. And for the duration of that period, nibbana is known continuously as the peaceful bliss it is, santi sukha. It is therefore clear that when one knows nothing, it is not because one has attained nibbana, it is because one's concentration is still weak. When the anapana pativanga nimitta appears, the yogi's mind may fall into bhavanga because the jhana factors are not yet strong. Just like when learning to walk, a small child who is too weak to stand by himself will fall down again and again. In the same way, at the access concentration stage, the jhana factors are still not fully developed, and one may fall into bhavanga. It is not nibbana. To avoid falling into bhavanga and to develop concentration further, you need the help of the 5 controlling faculties: faith, saddha, effort, virya, mindfulness, sati, concentration, samadhi, and wisdom, panya, to push the mind and fix it on the pativanga nimitta. It takes effort to make the mind know the pativanga nimitta again and again, mindfulness to not forget it, and wisdom to know it. At the absorption jhana stage, the jhana factors are fully developed. Just like a strong and powerful man can stand up straight the whole day, a yogi can, taking the pativanga nimitta as object, stay in absorption jhana for a long time without falling into bhavanga. Complete and uninterrupted absorption may continue for 1, 2, 3 hours or more. At that time, one does not hear a sound. One's mind does not go on to other objects. Apart from the pativanga nimitta, one knows nothing. Question 3.3. Under what conditions or in what state can we say that a meditation experience is access concentration or absorption concentration? Answer 3.3. If many bhavangas occur during concentration, one can say that it is access concentration. But the nimitta must be the pativanga nimitta. Only if one is able to stay in complete absorption for a long time without interruption, with also the pativanga nimitta as object, can one say it is absorption concentration. How does a yogi know his mind is falling into bhavanga? When he notices that he has very often been unaware of the pativanga nimitta, he knows there were bhavangas. His mind may also for brief moments have thought of an object other than the pativanga nimitta. This does not happen in absorption concentration. In absorption concentration, there is only complete absorption without interruption. Question 3.4. Is there access concentration as well as absorption concentration at each of the four jhanas? What are their characteristics? Answer 3.4. Let us take the example of the Anapana jhanas, which take the Anapana Pativanga nimitta as object. There are four levels of access concentration and four levels of absorption concentration. At each level, there is access jhana first, then absorption jhana. Both take the same Anapana Pativanga nimitta as object. So it is the level of concentration that is different. In the first, second, and third access jhana, there are 5 jhana factors. But in the fourth access jhana, there is no joy, piti, only application, vitakka, sustainment, vikara, equanimity, upekkha, and one-pointedness, ekaggata. Although they take the same nimitta as object, the jhana factors become increasingly powerful at each access jhana. The jhana factors at the first access jhana suppress physical pain, at the second, mental suffering, at the third, physical pleasant feeling, and at the fourth, mental pleasant feeling or happiness. This is how we distinguish between the different levels of access concentration, especially the fourth. At that level, the breath is the subtlest and has nearly stopped. It stops completely at the fourth absorption jhana. We distinguish between the absorption jhanas only by looking at the jhana factors. In the first absorption jhana, 5 jhana factors are present: application, sustainment, joy, bliss, and one-pointedness. In the second, 3, joy, bliss, and one-pointedness. In the third, 2, bliss and one-pointedness. And in the fourth jhana, also 2, equanimity and one-pointedness. By looking at the jhana factors, we can say, this is the first absorption jhana, this is the second absorption jhana, etc. Also, here the concentration increases level by level. Fourth jhana concentration is the highest. How is it the highest? You should try for yourself. Many yogis report that the fourth jhana is the best and quietest. Question 3.5. Under what conditions does a yogi drop or regress from absorption to access concentration? Under what conditions does a yogi in access concentration attain absorption concentration? Answer 3.5. If the yogi does not respect his meditation practice but respects objects other than the Pativanga nimitta, many hindrances will arise. Many thoughts of greed and hatred will arise. They arise due to unwise attention. Those objects reduce the concentration. Because wholesome dhammas and unwholesome dhammas are always in opposition. When wholesome dhammas are strong and powerful, unwholesome dhammas are far away. And when, because of unwise attention, unwholesome dhammas are strong and powerful, wholesome dhammas are far away. Wholesome and unwholesome dhammas cannot arise simultaneously in one conscious moment or mental process. Here we need to understand wise attention, yoniso manasikara, and unwise attention, ayoniso manasikara. When a yogi practices anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing, and concentrates on the natural breath, his attention is wise attention. When the ugaha nimitta or pativanga nimitta appears and the yogi concentrates on it, his attention is still wise attention. If, in vipassana meditation, a yogi sees this is materiality, this is mentality, this is cause, this is effect, this is impermanence, this is suffering, or this is non-self, his attention is also wise attention. But if he sees this is a man, a woman, a son, a daughter, a father, a mother, a deity, a Brahma, or an animal, etc., and this is gold, money, etc., then his attention is unwise attention. Generally speaking, we can say that because of wise attention, many wholesome dhammas arise. And because of unwise attention, many unwholesome dhammas arise. If while you are practicing meditation, unwise attention arises, then hindrances or defilements will certainly follow. They are unwholesome dhammas. Those unwholesome dhammas reduce the concentration or cause it to regress and drop. If you look at your meditation object with wise attention again and again, then wholesome dhammas will arise and increase. Jhana wholesome dhammas, for example, are among those wholesome dhammas. So, if you concentrate on the nimitta, such as the anapana pativanga nimitta, again and again, it is wise attention. If you develop this wise attention to full strength, then from access concentration, you will obtain absorption concentration. Question 3.6. When a person dies, a kama nimitta may arise because of past wholesome or unwholesome kama. Is this phenomena similar to that which occurs during meditation when images of past events which the yogi had forgotten appear? Answer 3.6. There may be some similarity, but only in some cases. It may be similar to the arising of a kama nimitta in those whose death took place quickly. Question 3.7. While meditating, images of events from more than 30 years back, which the yogi had forgotten, appear. Is this due to lack of mindfulness, which lets the mind leave the object? Answer 3.7. It could be, but it could also be because of attention, manasikara. Many yogis do not know about attention. Only once they have practiced meditation on mentality do they understand it. Mental processes occur very quickly, so they do not understand that these images appear because of attention. But no formation occurs by itself without a cause. This is because all formations are conditioned. Question 3.8. If, when dying, a person has strong mindfulness, can he prevent a kama sign, kama nimitta, of previous unwholesome or wholesome kama from arising? Answer 3.8. Strong, powerful mindfulness can prevent such nimittas from arising. But what is strong, powerful mindfulness? If a yogi enters jhana and keeps it completely stable right up to the time of death, you can say that the mindfulness of that jhana is strong and powerful. That type of mindfulness can prevent an unwholesome sign or sensual sphere wholesome sign from arising. It takes only the jhana object, for example, an anapana pativanga nimitta or white kasina pativanga nimitta. Another type of strong, powerful mindfulness is the mindfulness associated with vipassana knowledge. If a yogi's vipassana knowledge is the formation's equanimity knowledge, and if he practices vipassana up to the near-death moment, then this near-death impulsion is vipassana knowledge associated with strong and powerful mindfulness. That type of mindfulness can also prevent unwholesome signs from appearing, as well as prevent other wholesome signs from replacing his vipassana sign. The vipassana sign is the impermanent, suffering, or non-self nature of a chosen formation. He may die with such a sign as the object of his near-death impulsion. It can produce a deva rebirth-linking consciousness, so that he is spontaneously reborn as a deva. Concerning the benefits that this type of yogi may get in his future life as a deva, the Buddha says in the Sutta Nugata Sutta of the Anguttara Nikaya, Chakku Nipata, translated from the Pali, bhikkhus, an ordinary person who has heard the teachings, often repeated them, reflected upon them, and thoroughly penetrated them with vipassana knowledge, if he dies, he may be reborn in one of the deva realms, where all formations appear clearly in his mind. He may be slow to reflect on the Dhamma or to do vipassana, but he attains nibbana very quickly. Why do formations appear clearly in his mind? Because the near-death impulsion consciousness of the previous human life and the bhavanga consciousness of the following deva life take the same object. In this case, the impermanent suffering or non-self nature of formations. The host, the bhavanga that is, already knows the vipassana object, which is why vipassana knowledge can easily be developed. So according to that sutta, strong mindfulness associated with vipassana knowledge can prevent unwholesome signs from appearing, as well as other wholesome signs that may replace his vipassana sign. You should try to possess this type of mindfulness before death takes place. An example of this is the Sakapana Sutta about 3 bhikkhus who practiced samatha and vipassana. They had good morality and good concentration, but their minds inclined towards life as male Gandhabas. When they died, they went to the Deva realm. They were reborn as beautiful and radiant Gandhabas who looked 16 years old. During their lives as bhikkhus, the three bhikkhus had gone to a laywoman's house every day for alms food and had taught her Dhamma. She had become a stream enterer, and when she died, she was reborn as Gopaka, the son of Saka. The three Gandhabas performed for the son of Saka, and he saw that they were very beautiful and radiant. He thought, they are very beautiful and radiant. What was their karma? He saw they were the three bhikkhus who had come to his house when he was a laywoman. He knew that their virtue, concentration, and wisdom had been very good. So he reminded them of their past life. He said, when you listened to the teachings and practiced the Dhamma, what were your eyes and ears directed at? Two of the Gandhabas remembered their past lives and were ashamed. They developed samatha and vipassana again, quickly attained the non-returning path and fruition, and died. They were reborn in the realm of the Brahma's ministers and attained arhatship there. The third bhikkhu was not ashamed and remained a Gandhaba. So, it is not necessary to contact a life insurance company. This type of mindfulness is the best insurance. Question 3.9. Is it necessary when discerning the 12 characteristics in Four Elements meditation to start with hardness, roughness, and heaviness in that sequence? Can one choose to start with any one of the characteristics? Answer 3.9. In the beginning, we can start with a characteristic that is easy to discern, but once we can discern all the characteristics easily and clearly, we must follow the sequence given by the Buddha: earth element, water element, fire element, and wind element. This is because that sequence produces strong, powerful concentration. When we see the Rupa Kalapas and are able to easily discern the four elements in each one, the sequence is not important. What is very important then is to discern them simultaneously. Why? The lifespan of a Rupa Kalapa is very short. It may be less than a billionth of a second. When discerning the four elements in a Rupa Kalapa, there is not enough time to recite earth, water, fire, wind, so we must discern them simultaneously. Question 3.10. Practicing Four Elements meditation enables one to balance the four elements in the body. One may at some time get sick because the four elements are out of balance. When one is sick, can one practice Four Elements meditation with strong mindfulness to cure the sickness? Answer 3.10. There are many types of affliction. Some afflictions are due to previous karma, such as the Buddha's back pain. Some afflictions are due to unbalanced elements. The afflictions born of previous karma cannot be cured by balancing the four elements. But some of the afflictions that occur because of unbalanced elements may disappear when the yogi tries to balance them. There are also afflictions that occur because of food, temperature, or the mind. If an affliction arises because of the mind and we can cure the mind, the affliction may disappear. If the affliction arises because of temperature, fire element, as with cancer, malaria, etc., it can be cured only by taking medicine, not by balancing the elements. This is the same for afflictions born of unsuitable food. Question 3.11. Before we attain the fourth jhana and eradicate ignorance, many unwholesome thoughts still arise due to bad habits. For example, in our daily lives outside of a meditation retreat, we know that greed or hatred arises. Can we use foulness meditation, asubha, or loving kindness meditation, metta bhavana, to remove them? Or should we ignore them and just concentrate on our meditation subject and let them disappear automatically? Answer 3.11. Unwholesome karma has ignorance, avijja, as its latent cause, and unwise attention, ayoniso manasikara, as the proximate cause. Unwise attention is very harmful. If you are able to replace unwise attention with wise attention, the greed or hatred will disappear for a while, or maybe forever if the wise attention is very strong and powerful. We already discussed wise and unwise attention in a previous question. You can use foulness meditation or loving kindness meditation to remove greed and hatred. These meditations are also wise attention, but vipassana is the best weapon to destroy defilements. It is the best wise attention. Question 3.12. How does the bhavanga function in the sensual sphere planes, fine material sphere planes, immaterial sphere planes, and supra-mundane sphere planes. Would the Sayadaw please explain with examples? Answer 3.12. The function of the bhavanga is the same on the first three types of planes. It arises so the consciousness moments in a life do not stop. It maintains the mentality, which is the life continuum. This is because the karma that produces this life has not yet been exhausted. Since there is materiality mentality, namarupa, in the sensual and fine material sphere planes, and mentality in the immaterial sphere planes, there is also a bhavanga there. In the sensual sphere planes, the bhavanga may have as object a karma sign, or rebirth sign. For example, one being's bhavanga may have as object the Kahitayo, excuse my pronunciation, pagoda, while another's may have as object the Shwedagon pagoda. These objects are concepts. In the fine material sphere plane, the bhavanga has an object only a karma sign. No karma and no rebirth sign. The bhavanga of one on a fine material sphere plane is called the fine material sphere resultant jhana, because it is the result of the jhana attainment at death in the foregoing life. Since the object of the bhavanga is thus the same as the object of jhana attainment, the object of the bhavanga will depend upon the jhana. For example, the bhavanga of one who has reached a fine material sphere plane due to anapana jhana will have as object the anapana pativanga nimitta, while the one who is there due to metta jhana will have as object all beings in the infinite universe. Both these objects are concepts. In the immaterial sphere planes, the bhavanga has as object only two types of karma sign. Again, no karma and no rebirth sign. On the plane of the base of boundless space, one's bhavanga will have as object boundless space. And on the plane of the base of nothingness, it will have as object the absence of the base of boundless space consciousness. Both these karma signs are concepts. On the plane of the base of boundless consciousness, one's bhavanga will have as object the consciousness of the base of boundless space. And on the plane of the base of neither perception nor non-perception, it will have as object the consciousness of the base of nothingness. Being consciousnesses, these karma signs are ultimate phenomenon. When we say sensual sphere planes, fine material sphere planes, and immaterial sphere planes, we are referring to planes of existence that exist, places that exist. But when we say supramundane plane, the word plane is only a metaphor. It is, in fact, not a place at all. When we say supramundane plane, we mean only the four paths, four fruitions, and nibbana, not a place. Hence, there is no bhavanga in the supramundane plane. There is none in the four path and four fruition consciousnesses. And since there is no mentality materiality in nibbana, there is no mentality for the bhavanga to maintain, which means there cannot be any bhavanga in nibbana. Question 3.13. What is the difference between mundane jhanas and supramundane jhanas? Answer 3.13. The mundane jhanas are the four fine material sphere jhanas and four immaterial sphere jhanas, that is, the 8 attainments. The supramundane jhanas are the jhana factors associated with the path and fruition knowledges. When you discern the mental formations of, for example, the mundane fine material sphere, first jhana as impermanence, suffering, or non-self, and if you see nibbana, your path knowledge is the first jhana. This is a supramundane jhana. Why? In the mundane fine material sphere first jhana, which was the object of vipassana, There are the 5 jhana factors: application, sustainment, joy, bliss, and one-pointedness. In the supramundane first jhana, there are the same 5. This is how the path and fruition can be the first jhana path and the first jhana fruition. The other jhanas can, in the same way, be the conditions for their respective supramundane jhanas. This concludes the third talk in the book, Knowing and Seeing by the Venerable Pa-Auk Sayadaw.